Hey, it's Joshua here with another edition of Mortgage Clarity. And as you can see, today I have a guest for the first time. This is Michael Krawalowski. He's an agent here with Remax in Corvallis, Oregon. He's a fantastic agent. He does a lot of business both on the buyer side and the seller side. And I asked Michael in here today to kind of give us a perspective from the listing agent's side of a transaction when they're looking at multiple offers, because today's market, it's common for 5, 10, even 15 offers, crazy amounts.
Competitive.
Yeah, and it's like that all over. It's not just Corvallis, Oregon. It's East Coast to West Coast, very competitive. So what I wanted to ask and have get his perspective on is, for you, when you're choosing your team and your pre-approval letter, does it really matter to the seller who you have representing you as both your real estate agent and your lender, or not? So let's just go ahead and Michael, I appreciate your time.
Sure.
Does it matter to you as a listing agent whose name's on the letter?
So drum roll, yes, of course. I mean, when I'm on the other side of things and I'm working with buyers, I tell them, be sure not to have any weak links, right? Make sure you're using a great realtor, make sure you're using a great lender. You want to have a great team. It takes a team. And so it matters big time because as a listing agent, as you said, I'll be presenting to my sellers maybe 5 or 10 offers at a time. They're looking at a summary spreadsheet of all of these terms and offers. And one of those things is, who's the lender and what kind of a loan is it? I mean, we've got great local mortgage brokers here. Presumably, everywhere you are, there's great local mortgage brokers. And as a buyer, you want to be using a great local mortgage broker. You want that team member. So that when the seller's agent is saying, hey sellers, here's a breakdown of the 5 offers or 10 offers or whatever it was that we just received, we can present those offers in the best light possible. We want the seller to be confident, saying, yes, we can move forward with this particular buyer because we know that they'll actually close on time, they've got a great team, it'll be a smooth process, and the lender in particular can deliver on the promises that they're making. And that's one of the things that's often a tiebreaker, right? I mean, everyone thinks it's all about price. It's not. I mean, the highest priced offer doesn't necessarily win, and that's super important for buyers to know in a competitive market like this, right? At the end of the day, on that summary spreadsheet that we're looking at, first and second place offers, they're probably about neck and neck, and so it's other things that are the tiebreaker, and one of those things is, is this an actually reputable local mortgage broker? Do we know they can deliver on the promises they make, as I think I just said, and actually, help us all cross the finish line together, the buyers and the sellers? That matters big time.
So that's interesting because I think one of the things he kind of hit on there is that the reputation of the loan officer doesn't only matter to the buyer, because of course the buyer wants to make sure they're going to get a fair deal, but beyond a fair deal, they want to know they're going to, if they're told they're approved, they are approved, and they're going to close on time. But I think we sometimes forget that the seller has just as much anxiety in the transaction as a buyer does, and so to help minimize that anxiety is to know that, hey, if I don't want a rough transaction, and so you as the the professional who deals with people all the time are going to give advice to the seller like, hey, let me bring my local market knowledge here and tell you about these people and where my confidence and both the who the agent representing the buyer is and who the lender's representing the buyer. Is that right?
All those things matter. Yeah.
So and then I think you also said so let's just say we come in with a couple offers. And the buyer that has a local lender you like, everything else looks pretty good, but they're $10,000 less than say another offer that comes in, and it's maybe an online lender. And nothing against online lenders, I don't want they have their place, but just say it's an online lender, so obviously it's not somebody local.
Some online discount lender,
or even maybe a local lender who does not have the best reputation, because it's that too. It's not just online. There's local lenders too. Would $10,000 higher offer be enough for the seller to ignore that, or in some cases would a seller actually be willing to take a little bit less money?
Part of me wants to say like, oh, $10,000 is a big difference. They might actually take a chance, but I can actually tell you that about a week ago, I had a multiple offer situation on a listing of mine here, and I think we had 5 or 6 offers. And there was a almost $50,000 difference between first place and second place. And I make air quotes because first place didn't win.
$50,000.
I'm not making this up.
Wow.
And in that particular one, and actually this still matters actually. The higher offer, I shouldn't call it first place, the higher offer was actually a cash offer. But it still didn't win because there were hoops that the buyer was going to have to go through to make that cash offer, let's say, come to fruition for the seller. And the seller, even looking at that cash offer for that much of a difference, still didn't want to take on the risk. And the second place offer was a local mortgage broker that has an excellent reputation, just like you happen to. And I'm not trying to make this a plug for Joshua.
It wasn't me, I don't think.
But that offer won.
Yeah.
And that was
Wow.
It was something like a $48,000 difference between first and second place. It's not always just price that wins. And that's a very extreme, very unusual example that is not going to be your everyday scenario. But that's one I can tell you about that was very recent. That stretches the range you just gave by a big margin there.
Wow. Yeah. So I think there you go, guys. Basically, I think just to sum it all up is that definitely as when you're out there looking for who your lender is going to be, it makes a difference. So as you're rating other people and you're comparing lenders, price and value is important. Don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying go with the highest price lender because that doesn't mean you're getting value at all. It doesn't mean you're getting that reputation. But just know that as you're getting ready to build your team to go out in a competitive market like today, you got to know that there is value there, and it's hard for you to put a price on it because you ultimately don't know. In this case here, there's a $50,000 difference there. Normally, I'd say maybe a $5,000 to $10,000 if you've got a bad reputation and a good reputation. The agent's probably going to say, hey, here's where my confidence is at.
And that's a more realistic scenario. Between first and second place, there's usually a few thousand, maybe $5,000 difference. Right. And so it is other things that tip the scales really quickly.
Yeah. So that perhaps again, discount lender you think you're saving money on, if it ends up meaning you have to pay an extra $5,000 to get your offer accepted, you didn't really pay it. You just didn't know that you didn't save money. So
yeah. Can I elaborate on that just a little bit more? Because I think your intention in this video is really is really first and foremost to educate buyers nationwide about the importance of using a great lender, and not to just give yourself a plug.
Absolutely.
I don't mind giving you a bit of a plug though.
I appreciate
it. The challenge that I think a lot of the buyers have in this market, as you're alluding to, is that they're commoditizing. They are just shopping around to see, what lender is advertising the lowest interest rate, plain and simple, because they think it's that simple, and it's not. What you were getting at just now is that, if a buyer is not using a reputable local lender, they're going to end up paying more anyway. They're going to be shopping for a house longer. Interest rates are going up. Home prices are going up. It's going to cost them money, and that's the reality of not having a great team member such as Joshua, who's a local mortgage broker, who's an expert with a reputation worth its weight in gold. I mean, it does cost those buyers money. And I don't want to sugarcoat that. I'm very blunt about that.
Well, I appreciate your honesty, and again, I think that's the takeaway. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So that, again, this purpose, whether you're in Oregon or you're somewhere across the U.S., just recognize as you're getting ready to go through the exciting and stressful process of buying a home, pick a good team. It makes a difference as far as how your offer is going to be viewed. It could save you money in the long run. If you like this information, please hit like. If you got comments for us, please share those as well. And if you want to hear more great content, hit the subscribe button so you can be alerted to our next video. All right, have a great day.
Thanks.